This is hopefully the first step on a journey towards a civilization on Mars, life becoming multiplanetary.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
And think to change times and laws.
Life can become multiplanetary. This is the goal we should strive for.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven, tabernacle in heaven.
I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization, and ultimately be out there among the stars,
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Be out there among the stars,
Be
out there among the stars.
and though thou set thy nest among the stars.
If the future does not include being out there among the stars, based on the moon and expanding beyond Earth, and
Among the stars,
be out there among the stars, life becoming multiplanetary. The long-term aspiration is to develop the technologies necessary to transport a large number of people and cargo to Mars in order to create a self-sustaining civilization there. And that's really why I started the company, was because it seemed as though
to create the possibility for life on other planets.
Yeah, exactly.
So you decide you want to try and do this.
Can't just be like a handful of people, because that's obviously not going to create a self-sustaining civilization.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. It's hard to
You'd made some money from the sale of PayPal. You decided to build a space company. Why on earth would someone do that?
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
The goal of SpaceX is to try to advance rocket technology, and in particular to try to crack a problem that I think is vital for humanity to become a spacefaring civilization.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Which is to have a rapidly and fully reusable rocket.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
What are the things that need to happen in order for the future to be an exciting and inspiring one? And I really think there's a fundamental difference if you sort of look into the future between a humanity that is a spacefaring civilization that's out there exploring the stars on multiple planets. And I think that's really exciting, and compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until at some eventual extinction event.
Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
But the big innovation is still ahead, and you're working on it now. Tell us about this.
It's important that the rocket stages be able to come back, to be able to return to the launch site and be ready to launch again within a matter of hours.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Wow.
Yeah.
Reusable rocket.
Yes.
I guess paves the way for your dream to actually take, at some point, to take humanity to Mars at scale.
SpaceX or some combination of companies and governments need to make progress in the direction of making life multiplanetary, of establishing a base on another planet, on Mars being the only realistic option, and then building that base up until we're a true multi-planet species.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven.
In April 2016, SpaceX announced that they are planning to send a mission to Mars, potentially as soon as 2018. This mission, known as Red Dragon, would be privately funded, receive support and guidance from NASA.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Meet the Dragon 2, a capsule currently being developed by SpaceX as the successor to their original Dragon capsule, which has been supplying the International Space Station since 2012.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
How have you done this? These projects are so... These PayPal, SolarCity, Tesla, SpaceX, they're so spectacularly different. They're such ambitious projects at scale. How on earth has one person been able to innovate in this way? What is it about you? Almost no one can do that.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Elon Musk, I wish we had all day,
Sorry.
but thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. That was awesome.
I look in Isaiah 14 where it talks about Lucifer. It actually says in Isaiah 14 what Lucifer's big plans are. Lucifer's big plans are. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend into heaven.
I will ascend into heaven.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, above the stars of God.
Above the stars of God.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Now here, I mean, this pretty much covers it. This basically gives us what Satan's plan is.
I mean, it's a beast. I mean, it's a beast.
Congratulations on a wonderful capture. You've made a lot of folks happy down here over in Hawthorne and right here in Houston. Great job, guys.
Houston Station, looks like we got us a Dragon by the tail. We're thinking This sim went really well. We're ready to turn it around and do it for real.
And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet.
The 3 of you look great inside the dragon. I wonder if you could describe your surroundings a little bit, and would you feel comfortable riding up in one of those in on a future mission?
Well, I spent quite a bit of time poking around in here this morning, just looking at the engineering and the flying layout. Up in a human-rated dragon is not going to be an issue.
Golden Hands Aki Hoshidi was at the controls and grabbed the dragon, and then we brought it close next to the space station, and then I got to actually birth it, so that was pretty fun. A lot of cargo. You might see behind me, we started taking stuff out. Some of the white bags right behind me is all the cargo. This is a crew care package which we got. We also got a little dessert, got a little ice cream, so we're looking forward to having that tonight. We just unpacked it this afternoon, so we put it in our refrigerator here waiting to have it tonight. It's quite a treat. We don't usually have this type of stuff up here. It's usually thermostabilized or dehydrated that we're hydrating, so homemade ice cream is something special, and we're going to have a little party. Aki and I were telling Yuri about it last night, and tonight's our dessert night.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image, into an image, into an image, into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. We speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the...
Sorry, that just means I gotta stop typing on this computer. I think it's maxed out. And usually it works fine after I stop it, so here we go again.
coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, Amen. Because thou sayest, I am rich, and increased with goods, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched, and miserable, and poor, and blind, and naked. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous therefore and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me.
The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit of deep black. Almost so deep it almost has a texture when you look at it.
It's wandering stars to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is. And the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. Even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition.
And I saw a deep abyss, with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure, alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. I saw there 7 stars, like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said,
This place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars of the host of heaven.
And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. And he was wroth with them, and bound them till the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years.
Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder, and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them throughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX really was to make as much progress as possible to advance rocket technology to the point where hopefully we can establish a colony on Mars. Dream of Apollo.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo.
The angel of the bottomless pit.
Apollo.
Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, the friction of air slows Orion considerably, while also subjecting it to temperatures of 5,000 degrees. With the Orion now at just 300 miles per hour,
I think you asked how did I get up to the ISS and how long do I spend, and I came up here just like all the crew members since the space shuttle retired in 2011.
The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked,
Since the space shuttle retired in 2011,
And it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
we all fly on the Russian Soyuz rocket and Soyuz spacecraft.
And behold another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side,
We all fly on the Russian Soyuz rocket and Soyuz spacecraft.
like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Since the end of the shuttle program, the only ride of the station has been on the Russian Soyuz. But by working with SpaceX and Boeing, there's soon going to be a new fleet of spacecraft capable of bringing humans to low Earth orbit. And of course, all of this supports the mission of the International Space Station, humanity's premier laboratory in space, where we're pushing the boundaries in science and technology every single day.
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes, like the eyes of man, and a mouth, speaking great things.
The bug for space really bit me when I came down to visit my grandpa down here in Houston. So I saw the big old Saturn V rocket sitting on its belly out there and just thought, man, if humanity can do something this amazing, this awesome, I want to be a part of it. And I just fell more in love with the idea of space and being a part of something bigger than myself. The thought of actually getting to space, I couldn't wrap my head around that. You walk up to this rocket that's covered in frost from the cold fuel inside, and it's creaking and groaning and kind of alive, and you're like, well, that's pretty cool, but they're probably going to cancel. It's just not going to happen. You know, I've done so many sims, and it just can't be real. There's no way I'm going to go to space. But then when no kidding, it lights off and you feel the rumble, and then you start to move, and that kind of just constant smooth acceleration, pulling you back in the seat. Everything comes to life on the panels. You see all of the things that you've seen 100 times in Sims. In one instant, all of that I felt was unimaginable became real. And it was a magical thing I'll just never forget. You know, we're scientists and engineers and pilots and doctors. We're not poets, but we sure try to be, because you want to share as best you can the experience that you've seen and felt. I think I told my wife once I got on board that I thought it was
It's a burrito of awesomeness smothered in awesome sauce, baby. It's so beautiful.
It was just the beauty of being there yourself with your own eyes and seeing it. One thing that I would love to do while on orbit was, there was a window in one of the Russian modules that looked kind of out the back of the station. And I'd go sit there. I'd turn off everything, and you could get it really dark in there, let my eyes adjust, and just look out at the stars. And the stars, you know, the longer you sit, the more you see, and it becomes unbelievable. the number, the just billions of stars, the Magellanic Clouds, the galaxies that you can see with your naked eye. And they don't twinkle. They just stare at you. They dare you to come and to explore. It lights a fire inside your soul that is unlike anything I ever experienced before or since. And it's why you see astronauts, they say 560, 580, I don't know how many people have gone to space. They're all the same. They all have that bug. And they all want to do everything in their power after experiencing that to make sure that humanity reaches its potential, that we get there, that we don't just see the stars, that we explore them, that we live there, that we grow into what we can be. And you're reminded of...
I just gotta stop the video and point this out. Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying what Enoch said. Let me rewind it just a little bit. Listen to what he says about what the stars do. They dare you to come and explore. Enoch said that those 7 stars that transgressed against God, at the beginning of their rising, and they didn't come out at their proper time, and God bound them in a prison for the stars in the host of heaven. It says in Enoch 19 that not just those 7 stars, but the angels that came down and were created offspring in Genesis 6, that those angels were bound there too, or they are now. They were in the earth for 70 generations, but then they were led off to the abyss of fire. And that's where those 7 planets were. And it says they assume many different forms and defile mankind and lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. So the part that these NASA people don't understand is that, like Obadiah 1 verse 4, it says something about, though thou want to set thy nest in the stars, hence I will bring thee down, saith the Lord. That's God's throne. So I had to stop the video for that. Listen to what he said. I went back a little bit, so just listen to this and realize that Satan, or Lucifer, wants to ascend into heaven and exalt his throne above the stars of God. Carlos, yes, outer darkness is hell. It's the blackness of darkness, under chains of darkness. And so after hell is the lake of fire. If you want to read about how hell becomes the lake of fire, that's in Enoch chapter 67. And it becomes fire in the very last verse of that chapter, I think. 67, yeah. It's talking about waters where the angels were punished. Dark waters. That would be space. So here we go, back with the video, and yeah, this is an important topic because this is actually, I think, what verse was mentioned recently I was listening to. It said it good. Defiling mankind. This is like something that we are learning about right now, and it's quite intimidating. We're not supposed to be trying to go to the stars. We're not supposed to be exploring space because it's a trick. Lucifer wants to ascend into heaven, but he's going to be brought down to the pit, to the sides of the north, or something. Or no, wait, maybe I'm wrong. To the sides of the pit. I'm sorry. So, the sides of the pit. That's where Lucifer is going to be brought, even though he says he's going to ascend into heaven. So when NASA says we will ascend into heaven, where are they brought? Think about it.
They just stare at you. They dare you to come and to explore. It lights a fire inside your soul that is unlike anything I ever experienced before or since. And it's why you see astronauts, you know, they say 560, 580, I don't know how many people have gone to space. They're all the same. They all have that bug. And they all want to do everything in their power after experiencing that to make sure that humanity reaches its potential, that we get there, that we don't just see the stars, that we explore them, that we live there, that we grow into what we can be. And you're reminded of the incredible potential that we have as humans when we put everything else aside and just work together. And you feel a part of that, looking out the cupola and just being a part of thousands of people from across this globe that have put together this just palace in the sky for us to discover and learn and grow. It showed me the potential of what humanity can be when you work together as one team. It inspired me to do everything I can in my power for the rest of my life to enable humanity to evolve, to get there, to those stars that were staring straight in my face and daring us to come get them. That is something that you can never quench. It's been a couple years since I flew, and that fire still burns just as strong today as it will when I die.
Subscribe for more space.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt.
So deep it almost has a texture when you look at it. The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit of deep black, almost...
Even darkness which may be felt.
So deep it almost has a texture when you look at it.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Wandering stars.
Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly. And these are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever.
When you come in from a spacewalk, you're surrounded by the emptiness of space. It's sort of like the opposite of air. There's nothing there at all. When you quickly repressurize the hatch and you open up the hatch and you smell, what is that lingering smell from a place that used to be exposed to space? The smell in there is a little bit like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there. It's a cool, lingering trace of a smell. I think what it really is, brimstone, like sort of that metallic gunpowder-fired smell, that a witch has just been there. In truth, It smells a little bit like a witch has just been there. It smells a little bit like a burnt steak. Brimstone. It smells a little bit like a burnt steak. Brimstone. Like a witch has just been there. It's a witch has just been there. It's a witch has just been there. It's a witch has just been there.
Brimstone.
That's true. True.
Go forth and descend through all the heavens, and thou wilt descend to the firmament in that world, to the angel in Sheol thou wilt descend heavens, and thou wilt descend to the firmament in that world, to the angel in Sheol thou wilt descend heavens, and thou wilt descend to the firmament in that world, to the angel in Sheol thou wilt descend. And we ascended to the firmament, I and he, and there I saw Samael and his hosts, and there was great fighting therein, and the angels of Satan were envying one another. And we ascended to the firmament, I and he, and there I saw Samael and his hosts, and there was great fighting therein, and the angels of Satan were envying one another.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment.
And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains unto darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. He hath reserved in everlasting chains. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains unto darkness, unto the judgment of the great day.
But cast them down to hell.
Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. Wandering stars, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. And the blackness of darkness forever. Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
And the entire law of the stars will be closed to the sinners, and the thoughts of those who dwell upon the earth will go astray over them, and they will turn from all their ways and will go astray, and will think them gods.
Wandering stars.
And I saw a burning fire in what was in all the mountains, and I saw a place there beyond the great earth. There the waters gathered together, and I saw a deep chasm of the earth with pillars of heavenly fire, and I saw among them fiery pillars of heaven, which were falling, and as regards both height and depth they were immeasurable.
But cast them down to hell.
And beyond this chasm I saw a place, and it had neither the sky above it, nor the foundation of earth below it. There was no water on it, and no birds, but it was a desert place. And a terrible thing I saw there, 7 stars like great burning mountains,
wandering stars.
And like a spirit questioning me, the angel said, This is the place of the end of heaven and earth. This is the prison for the stars of heaven and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire, these are the ones which transgressed the command of the Lord.
Wandering stars.
From the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. And he was angry with them, and bound them until the time of the consummation of their sin, in the year of mystery. And Uriel said to me, The spirits of the angels who were promiscuous with women will stand here.
Blackness of darkness.
And they, assuming many forms,
wandering stars,
made men unclean, and will lead men astray, so that they sacrifice to demons as gods.
Wandering stars.
And they will stand there until the great judgment, on which they will be judged, so that an end will be made of them.
Whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. The blackness of darkness forever. Well, I believe he's clearly talking about hell. Because in the Bible, there's a place where there's darkness forever. And it's called hell in the lake of fire.
And realize that we're on this very special place, and this precious island in this abyss of darkness, 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 in this abyss of darkness.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Now,
3, 2, 1, 0, and ignition and liftoff of the Atlas V with the Solar Dynamics Observatory.
I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb.
Liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, launching Dragon to the International Space Station.
And he spake as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And stage 1 entry burn is underway. It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance nominal.
And he doeth great wonders, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done.
Those precious young people. back at Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
LZ-1, the F-9 has landed. Landing operators proceed.
Thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. When he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up, rise up, rise up. Who is able to make war with him?
Alright, since it's skipping and I gotta pause it for a second, shout out to Now You See TV. Them guys rock. David Carrico and John Pounders and John Hall too. Those guys are awesome.
The earth is spinning, and it gives us the seasons.
Fear before him, all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved, that it be not moved.
The earth is spinning, and it gives us the seasons.
Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever, that it should not be removed forever.
Getting deep into the actual, movement of the earth.
The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved.
The world also is established that it cannot be moved.
Movement of the earth as it related to the stars and to the sun. There's an odd thing that takes place on this earth. You know that one spin of the earth is a 24 hours, okay? That's one day.
In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof.
If it's spun on a perfect vertical axis, then nothing would change as far as the relationship of the stars to the earth, but it doesn't. It wobbles.
For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them.
And it takes it 25,000 and something years to make one wobble. It takes it one day to make one turn. The earth is spinning, and it gives us the seasons. Now this wobble is what we call the precession of the equinoxes. No man's lived long enough to observe this. No man's lived long enough to observe this. The stars change position in the heavens ever so slowly.
Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved.
And what we have here is that the earth is turning back against the stars, but it's spinning in the other direction for the day. So it's spinning in two different directions. All right, and it's not spinning in two different directions. It's spinning in one direction, but as it spins, it wobbles.
The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved.
The North Star has changed over time, and it has changed down through time because of the wobbling of the earth.
That it should not be removed forever.
When you take a position where you absolutely and dogmatically state, well, if you don't believe this, you're not a believer. Yes, I am a believer.
If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things?
The earth is spinning.
The world also is established, that it cannot be moved.
And it offends me to my soul for somebody to tell me, because I don't believe in a flat earth, that I'm not a believer.
But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues.
You're welcome. You're welcome to come. I want to say that one more time. You are welcome to come to Temple Baptist Church if you believe in a flat earth. Just don't try to evangelize people.
But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them.
But I'll tell you right now, folks, if you believe in a flat earth, these people out here are laughing their head off at you.
If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you.
They are laughing their head off at you.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth.
It shouldn't have to happen. A Johnny-come-lately trumped up something that came out of the cracks, and all of a sudden it's the rage.
If ye
I don't know what's going on. Something is not working too swell, but we'll keep trying. Ooh. Something's not working at all. Let's see. I did hit the play button, but nothing's happening.
The world would love his...
Well, let's see. I'll hit the pause button and we'll see what happens. Give it a minute. Actually, there's one setting I'll adjust here really quick. The chat. Hello everyone. Awesome to see all you guys. I can change this setting in here and see if that helps. Let's see. Increase the value to prevent audio interruption during the playback. I'm increasing it all the way. See what happens. Save. Okay. Now that you guys helped me through that. Yeah, Pastor Lawson, here's my point of view on what's happening here. Because I saw Carlos, I think, was like, is this guy a wolf? Well, it's not that he's a wolf. He's a really, really super guy. And I just lost my mouse. I think my computer's shutting down, if anybody can hear me. Something's going on. There, we might be back. There we go. I think we're back. Now I gotta find the chat. Let's see here. There it is. I think we're back. Can you guys hear me now? It says excellent connection now. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you guys said that in the chat. For some reason, oh, now it says it's not receiving enough data, but I don't know. I think it's still fine. Thank you guys. So where was I? Oh yeah, I don't see any wolves. I see people that have a hard time believing the truth because they have lived their whole life not believing in something that now is available. That's the way I look at it.